Hello, y'all. This is Julian Rico. This is an NFL mock draft 2.0. I've been getting this mock draft done today, and it is official. And if you don't like my mock draft, go check out my 1.0 mock draft. Let's go to 2.0. We began with the mock draft 2.0 with Titans. The Tennessee Titans will select Cam Ward. No surprise after what he's just saying about if you don't draft me, it's on you. Okay, I guess we'll just put your number one pick. Tennessee Titans select Cam Ward out of Miami. The Cleveland Browns select Abdul Carter, defensive end for Penn State. This is not a surprise for me also because Myles Garrett, again, he could get traded very sooner than later. We could expect Abdul Carter to be a Cleveland Brown. Some changes, of course, you're going to see a lot of changes, including this one. The New York Giants select Travis Hunter, defensive back and wide receiver from Colorado. Now, you might be thinking, why did you change from a quarterback to a Heisman Trophy winner? Well, the Giants are linked to Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, and they're trying to link to Sam Darnold as well, which could be a possibility, but I don't see that. But Travis Hunter could make sense in that Giants offense or defense. Wherever they go, I could see that as Travis Hunter goes to New York. New England Patriots, I got them selecting an offensive line. That offensive line is Matt Boo, offensive tackle from Missouri. And this is a surprise because Armin Mabu in the combine saying that he's supposed to be the number one offensive line off the board. And he makes sense. He plays left tackle, of course, and you can plug him in there. There are two things the Patriots can go. One, you can trade down, or you stay in there and you can look at maybe guys like Will Campbell, Mabu, maybe Carter if he's available, or Travis Hunter if he's available. But I think Mabu makes sense in New England as the offensive tackle there. The Jacksonville Jaguars select Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan. I think James Gladstone coming in Jacksonville, he's going to be the guy that's going to look for a defensive lineman for Eric Armstead and have the two pass rushers, Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen, to have young. Here comes Mason Graham, and I think he fits there in Jacksonville. The Las Vegas Raiders select Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. I know the Raiders. I'm told Max Crosby wants Aaron Rodgers. Look, if that happens, I still say Shedeur Sanders goes to the Raiders. The New York Jets select Wilt Johnson, corner out of Michigan. I would love that pickup because, yes, Aaron Glenn, even though he has a career year as a defensive coordinator with cover one defense, expect Wilt Johnson to team up with Sauce Gardner, and that duo would be awesome to see over there in New York. The Panthers select Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. I think you can make this guy as a Micah Parsons person, of course, from outside linebacker from the edge, inside linebacker who you can spy on the quarterback or running back. I like Jalen Walker in Carolina. The New Orleans Saints select Teresia McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. I can see this as a possibility. Again, they need some wide receiver help. Chris Olave, he's been injured, of course, but once he's healthy, Rashid Shaheed is healthy, Kellen Moore is going to want a guy like an A.J. Brown or Mike Evans type of physical guy. McMillan is that guy. The Chicago Bears select Will Campbell, offensive tackle out of LSU. This would be a dream scenario for the Bears. Again, today they just pulled off a trade to acquire Jonah Jackson, which the question will be, will he be playing left guard or center? If he plays left guard, expect left tackle to be Will Campbell. The San Francisco 49ers select Malachi Williams, defensive end out of Georgia. I wanted to put a wide receiver in this position, but I think they're going to look further to wide receiver in the day 2 draft. So I'm going to go Malachi Williams. He's an elite pass rusher. He'd be a great pair with Nick Bosa and that 49ers D-line. And he could fit in that Robert Saleh scheme in that defense. The Dallas Cowboys, I'm not going to make a move. Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise State. Now, if they don't re-sign Rico Dowdle in free agency, expect them to draft Ashton Jeanty. But if they do re-sign Rico Dowdle, you could probably think of maybe they do bring in an O-line in the mix. Because, yes, you do lose Zach Martin, who come from retirement. Miami Dolphins select Calvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle for Texas. I think Banks would play left tackle for Terrion Armstrong, who has some injury, relatable, of course. But if he goes down, at least you got Calvin Banks Jr. to be the guy to step up at left tackle. The Indianapolis Colts select Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. I think he fits still in Lou Anarumo's defense. If the Colts do want to go with a tight end, I think Tyler Warren makes sense, but I think it's going to be defensive side. I think you want Lou Anarumo's defense to be a make a break year for the defense. Malachi Starks to the Colts. The Atlanta Falcons select Mike Green, defensive end out of Marshall. Let me tell you, if the Falcons get Mike Green, what you're going to get is a guy who did a career year from last year in Marshall, and that's what I think Falcons fans are looking to keep an eye on. Arizona Cardinals select James Pierce Jr., defensive end out of Tennessee. I think there's a great shot that James Pierce Jr. could make it to the top 15 in the first round. The question is his health, his physical body, and what scheme would he like to play in. And I think if he fits in that Jonathan Gannon's defense, he could be that elite pass rusher that Cardinals fans have not had since J.J. Watt's retirement. Cincinnati Bengals select Jahan Barton, corner out of Texas. They are going to need to fix that secondary, of course. They were very horrible on pass defense, so upgrade that with Al Golden's new corner, Jahan Barton from Texas. Seattle Seahawks, I made fun of this one. I think Tyler Warren makes sense. If, of course, they did release Noah Fant, Noah Fant from, I think they did. If they did, then Seattle could bring in a potential future tight end who reminds me a bit of Rob Gronkowski guy, but Geno Smith throws it to completion to Tyler Warren. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Let's keep going. Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Jahad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. Expect him to play in the middle. He could play middle linebacker where Levante David has been played, of course. There are some questions about him. Will he return to Tampa? And if he does not return, expect maybe Jahad Campbell makes sense there in Tampa. The Denver Broncos select Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. I know you can say wide receiver makes sense, but I think for me, the more likable sense is to bring in a tight end. Colston Loveland to Denver makes sense. Pittsburgh Steelers select Luther Burden, the second wide receiver out of Missouri. This would be a nice fit for Luther Burden and the Steelers, of course. We're told by Ian Rappaport, of course, that Justin Fields is likely going to be the favorite to take the Steelers' starting quarterback job in 2025. If that happens, bring him some weapons. George Pickens is playing in his final year. Add him with Luther Burden in the mix. This offense is cooking with Arthur Smith calling the plays. The Los Angeles Chargers select Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama. They'll probably put him at left guard. And the reason why is because we're hearing reports that Zion Johnson is is trying out a new position at center. So if he does play center next year, Tyler Booker could play left guard, and he would be a nice fit for that Jim Harbaugh's running offense. The Green Bay Packers, I want to give something that Packers fans have not had in a long time. The Packers select Mika Ibuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Josh Jacobs quoted that they need a number one wide receiver. Well, you're going to get one with Ibuka. Mika has had a career year in Ohio State. He's been alongside Chris Olave, I think, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jeremiah Smith, of course. And here we are. I think he fits there in Matt LaFleur's offense. Mika Ibuka to the Packers. Maxwell Harrison to the Vikings. I think he fits in that Brian Flores defense, of course. I like to see them there. Gray Zebo, offensive tackle for North Dakota State, goes to Houston. Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas, goes to the Rams. And why this move? Because the Rams are going to trade Cooper Kupp. If they trade Cooper Kupp, expect them to go Matthew Golden to be their number 2 wide receiver. Nick Amarawa, safety out of South Carolina, to Baltimore. I think when we saw him in the combine, I think Baltimore is intrigued for him. Have him with Kyle Hamilton, and that defense is very ready for the AFC Championship game next year. Detroit Lions select Shamar Stewart, defensive end out of Texas A&M. I think this is the right fit for Stewart, of course. The Lions need some pass rushers, of course, for Aiden Hutchinson. I think Shamar Stewart makes sense there. Washington Commanders select Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon. Likely the fit because Jonathan Allen is going to be trading somewhere, wherever he goes. But I think Derek Harmon, he would fit in that Dan Quinn defense. I think that would be a lovely fit for Derek Harmon to Washington. Bills select Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. I think he will fall a bit almost to a day 2 guy, but I think he fits in that Bills defense. He does like to play like Aaron Donald, but I think that's what Bills fans need. Someone who can stop the run and an elite defensive tackle. I think Walter Nolan makes sense there. The Kansas City Chiefs select Josh Simpson, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Simpson, of course, can play left tackle, so you could probably put Joe Thuney back at left guard. And with Trey Smith coming back to Kansas City, hopefully, then your offensive line is brand new with Josh Simpson at left tackle. And finally, the defending Super Bowl champions select Josh Cornell Jr., offensive tackle out of Oregon. Now, he ain't going to be in the starting lineup, but he plays left tackle, and he will probably be the potential replacement for Lane Johnson when his retirement comes. And again, this is a Howard Roseman draft. You see what he did with that D-line with before Fletcher Cox's retirement. You bring in Jordan Davis, you bring Jalen Carter. Those 2 guys made a game changer on that Eagles D-line. So is the offensive line as well. And this is one of those picks that Eagles could make. I think this makes sense. Josh Cornell Jr. to the Eagles. And he's going to fit in right in there with that Eagles offense. If you have not seen my mock draft 1.0, go check that out again on my channel. Again, hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel. Also, if you want to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, it'll be down in the description below. Again, that's my mock draft 2.0, and we'll hopefully do a 3.0 mock draft with trades. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.